can't hear you.
Hello, everyone. Now you can hear me. Welcome back to another Social Saturday Chat Live. Thank you, Martha. Hope everyone's doing great on this Saturday. And we are here on the new live streaming platform. And we're excited about today's topic of LinkedIn profile reviews and how to stand out to employers. Because reality is right now, there's a lot of people in the world right now that are searching for jobs. Maybe their jobs are in question. Maybe they're just looking to leave their current job because they don't believe in the mission anymore. Regardless of what the reasons are, we wanted to share tips today about how you can enhance your LinkedIn profile. We have some amazing LinkedIn experts here on the show, and we want to make sure that we're sharing what we've learned, what we train to, and some tips and strategies that might help you land that next job. Also, we want to make sure that we are addressing any questions you have. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. As always, make sure that you share. Let us know, if you are team live or team replay. Let us know what, because if you're in the team replay, we are going to respond to your comments. We go back in the comments, we read them. So don't feel like just because you missed the live that we are not going to respond back to you. But also, share where you're coming from. Let us know where you're coming from, what city, what state, what country. By putting something in the chat, it lets us know that you're here and we can interact with you so much better. So definitely take the time to do that with us. And with that being said, let's do some introductions here because we have a lot of people here today and it's exciting to see the team here together. For those of you I've not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I am a HR executive, I'm a career coach, and I'm a LinkedIn enthusiast. I am somebody who have been doing this amazing Social Saturday Chat with this amazing group for the last, almost 2.5 years now. And so for us to be able to be agile enough to change with the times and with the platform, it shows, I think, how much we're dedicated to this. So I'm just proud to be part of this group, and I'm looking forward to talking about this event today. With that, I'll hand it over to Joel. Joel?
I was preparing to go last, but okay, I'll play along. Hi everyone, my name is Joel. I have just lost my screen. Give me a minute. That's a great line. Nope, I've lost it again. But yeah, while I'm trying to find my screen, my name is Joel, and I help neurodivergence and essentially try and change what society perceives about the wonderful spectrum that they've stuck us on. And honestly, it's like I'm a product on this shelf sometimes. I mean, but I'm also a musician, and I did not do this music, which Felipe did on the intro video. So
I look forward to you adding your music to it because I think it'd be so much better. I had to choose from iMovie selections, which are like templates.
And my fact of the day is a month on Sunday I'll be extremely close to Felipe, and so will Mac if he can get out of bed. And who do we have next?
Martha.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Who am I? I'm an advocate here in the community and also founder of Connect Impact Hub and humanitarian, sums it all up, particularly working with our unhoused and also our low-income families. I'm so excited about this conversation that we're going to be speaking about today, as a lot of the folks that I do assist are looking for jobs. So looking forward to sharing this with them also. So thank you all so much for being here.
Over to Mac.
I'll pass it over to Mac. Thank you.
Hold on, can you hear me? Yes, you can. There we go. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Mac Laubscher, LinkedIn strategist and networking strategist. For those of you who don't know me, for those of you who do, it's good to see you again. I love David Pushkin's little comment over there. Let's go. Hi from across the pond. Well, I will say hi from within the pond then. David, or on the other side of Mud Island, as we like to refer to it. Yeah, looking forward to seeing where today's discussion goes and all the tips and advice that very easily transcends both into employee as well as business owner on LinkedIn. So really important discussion today. Really frustrating to see how so many people miss out on opportunities because of some literal basics that if they knew what to toggle or to switch or to do, could make a big difference on their credibility and their searchability and discoverability on LinkedIn. So look forward to this conversation. I am going to pass the mic, I believe, over to Lark. Is that right?
Yes.
Marvelous. Lark's just showing off, a little bit of sunshine over there. She's smiling. Have you had a new hairdo there, Lark? Like, what's going on? There's so much on the go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mac. Greetings from beautiful St. Lucia. As you could tell, it's an absolutely stunning day out. I am on site. So I am Lark Ambrose. I work with Mindset. And what I'm working on right now, more than anything else, is creating amazing spaces for people to just heal, relax, restore. I am looking forward to this session today. I know that I am one who, at this stage, I'm on the other side. I am looking at how do I get people to work with me going forward when I start running my business that's coming attraction. But yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing session today, and I look forward to everything that's being shared. So with that, I yield the mic.
Well, thank you, Lark. And, with all the great experience we have here, please make sure that you all take the chance to connect with each other. I love all the comments that we have here. It's great to see Samantha from Ireland. We had Hafiz, Lynn. I'll say hello, Lynn, because I respect you as a person, but I do not respect the Eagles who beat the Commanders last week. So I'm having a very hard time rooting for the Eagles, but I'm happy for you that the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, okay? Meryl, let us know if the echo's gotten better. Michelle, thank you. It's great to see you, another DC native. Sandra, thanks for coming. Sia, it's always great to see you there. Thank you for your support. And we have Alexia and Allison and JP and Petua. So keep on sharing comments or questions in the chat. Let us know what questions you want us to address as we're going through this. Real quick, before we get into it, just remind people that if you have your mic on, to please make sure that you are not making any noises with nearby things, because things tend to echo a little bit. But if you are new to Social Saturday Chat, just want to remind you about a few things. One, make sure you check us out on our LinkedIn homepage. Give us a follow, click that bell so you get notified whenever we have rooms. This room here is every Saturday, but all these co-hosts have different events they do throughout the week, and there's a great page to find out what they're doing. Also, thanks to Joel, these events are recorded, and we have them on your favorite podcast channel. So whether you like to listen to Apple Podcasts,
Felipe, not this week. Not this week, because you're in control of this. I need the audio.
I'll find a way to share the audio with you, hopefully, on this one here. But for all the past weeks, here's a QR code for Apple if you want to check out the Apple Podcasts for our special playlist there. Or if you want to go to Spotify, you like Spotify better than Apple, that's fine. Click on this QR code and it'll take you right to the Spotify playlist for Social Saturday Chat. Make sure you take the time to do that. It's important. And then just a few other things we want to make sure that you all don't forget about. Let me put this, I also have the QR code here. Let's go back to here real quick. I'm just showing off some of the features so that Joel can see what we can do. So there's a Spotify QR code in case you missed it. Take a picture of that. Here is the Apple QR code in case you missed that. And then I will say for right now, I do have a playlist that I created on my YouTube channel. So I do have this one here on the YouTube channel as well. So we are streaming live on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And so just want to share those things there with all of you all. And with that, let's get into the topic of today, LinkedIn profile reviews. So I wanted to share real quick just some Fluentbase 5 tips, some high-level tips, but things that a lot of times people forget about. And then we'll go around the room, and then we'll ask all of you all to come up and join us with your questions or put the questions in the chat. Again, if you just joined us, let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know if you are on Team Live or Team Replay. And let us know what questions you have on how to enhance your LinkedIn profile so you can get that next job opportunity. So with that being said, you know, I'm all about graphics here, you all. So here is, if I can get it to work. All right, so Fluentbase 5, all right? So here are Fluentbase 5 things to enhance your LinkedIn profile, okay? A headline that hooks, all right? The headline is the part that's right below your name, okay? That headline gives you 220 characters, all right? So if you look at my headline, you know, it says, I think, LinkedIn top voice and other things. That's where you want to make sure that you are maximizing those 220 characters, because that headline is where keywords are pulled from. So you want to make sure that if there are certain key skills that you are very strong in, that you want job or recruiters and employers to know of, make sure that those keywords are in your headline. Things to avoid in your headline, those filler words, if, and, but, take those out. Try to make it very succinct. All right. The second part of Fluentbase 5 here is your about section. The about section tells a story about what you've done, what you've accomplished. I always encourage people, add measurable accomplishments. Don't just say that you were successful. Why were you successful? You increased sales by 50%. You reduced expenses by 20%. You reduced turnover by 10%. You completed all your projects a month early. Something measurable that shows that you are achieving certain goals, and in some cases you're achieving them ahead of time. Number 3 is engage and complete experience section. That experience section, as a recruiter, I got to tell you all, is crucial to me, because when I get your resume, one of the things I do if I like your resume is I go to your LinkedIn profile. I want to see if there's any discrepancies between your profile and your resume. If there are, it's going to raise red flags about your credibility. So you want to make sure that that is complete. You want to make sure that it's accurate. You want to make sure that the dates match. And in there is another area where keywords are searched for. So make sure that you actually put in keywords and the measurements, repeat the measurements that you mentioned in your about section. If they're applicable to the job, mention them under that job. That job section has a lot of space there for you to put in information. Measurable accomplishments are a key thing to have in there, and keywords, okay? The next one is professional and approachable photo and banner. All right, you all might think the aesthetics are not that important, but I gotta tell you, if I see an empty banner, that part that goes along the top part of your page, or if I see an empty profile picture or a profile picture that's blurry and I can't really see your face, I'm going to question if you even care enough to use LinkedIn and if this information is even up to date, because clearly you're not updating it right now and you're not giving it the attention it probably deserves. That's the message I'm getting when I don't see that. So having a professional and approachable photo is important. What does that mean? Let's make sure we can see your eyes. Make sure that you don't have a bar with a line of shots lined up behind you. Make sure that you are in an atmosphere that projects the image that you're trying to project professionally. It's okay if it's blurred out. If you have nature in the background and it's blurred out, but you're in a professional outfit, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. It's more about how you look and making sure that it's clear and it's professional. Also, the banner is an opportunity for you to capture people's attention. Imagine the banner as the cover of a book. If you're looking through, the Apple or a Kindle bookstore, and you see a cover that captures your attention, you're going to click on it and see, well, let me learn more about this book, just because of how it looked. Your banner is going to do that to other people too. If your banner resonates the industry that you're in, if you have a phrase in there that captures people's attention, that hooks them, that says, hey, I'm an expert at making your LinkedIn profile look so good that you'll help you get you the next job. You know, that's going to make job seekers stop and say, oh, well, let me check out this person. So make sure you use that. A tool to use that's free, Canva. Canva has already preset template banners for your LinkedIn profile that you can add text to, you can customize it. So you don't need to be a graphic designer to do it, okay? And nowadays, for the professional photos, use your iPhone. All right, the fifth one, activity that builds credibility. What does that mean? Does that mean that you need to post every single day or you need to post at all? No, you don't need to be a content creator to have activity. Commenting is gold. And I'll say it again. Commenting is gold. You commenting on other people's posts helps you stand out. It helps you build credibility if you are talking about a subject that you are knowledgeable about. When you can ask insightful questions from the author of that post that sparks conversation, when you can share additional information that that host did not, or that author did not share, that adds value, that author is going to see you as somebody who is an ally and a supporter of his content or her content. So a recruiter or a job seeker or an employer sees that interaction and says, oh, wow, this person seems to know what they're talking about. I should check them out. So these are just small examples of why commenting is so good. And if you do comment regularly and you do create posts, that does help get your post more visibility. All right. These next 5 real quick, I'm going to share, and then we're going to go, is 5 things to help you stand out specifically to the employers, okay, and recruiters. Tailor your resume and LinkedIn profile to the role, which means use the keywords. I mentioned keywords before. If they're using, electrical vehicles, and you're saying you've worked on cars, change the verbiage to electrical vehicles, okay? Simple example, but use the terminology that they are using, okay? And customize some of your profile and your resume. Leverage the open to work banner as a feature. You can have open to work available without the banner or with the banner. That's a personal choice, but leverage the open to work feature because it notifies recruiters that you are open to looking. And then showcase your thought leadership. That goes back to what I said about commenting. When you share your insights, whether it's through your own posts or on other people's posts, you are showcasing your thought leadership, and that's going to make recruiters and employers pay attention. Network with purpose. Being here in this room right now, you are networking with purpose. Commenting in the chat, you are networking with purpose. You're letting people know you're here, that you're engaged, and that you're interested in the topic. Make sure that you step out. Make sure you speak out, and that you let people know that you're here. And finally, be interview ready at all times. If you run into somebody in the street or in the elevator and they ask what you do and you share and they're like, hey, do you have a minute to talk more about it? I might have an opportunity. You want to say, yes, I'm ready. Let's talk right now. So what that means is have your resume ready on your phone that you can email right away. Make sure that you've researched the companies and the industries that you want to work in so you're knowledgeable about them. Make sure that you have answers to the tough questions you might get asked based on things on your resume, like why you left a job or why there's a gap. And so these are, I gave you Felipe's 10 today, but there's Felipe's 5 for the individual and Felipe's 5 from the recruiter standpoint. So I'm going to stop there because I know that was a lot of information, and I know we have a lot of other people that have a lot of great insight to share. And with that, let's go to our wonderful friends here and see if we can get some more insight on how people can stand out. So Mac, you are the LinkedIn expert. You are the epitome of really just always stay on top of things that people can do. Please share your insights. Feel free to disagree with what I shared, agree with what I shared, or share additional insight that people will find valuable. And I'm going to highlight people as they speak. I think it's a nice thing to do.
Okay, so firstly, I disagree with everything Felipe said. It's not only stuff that you should do; it's stuff that you have to do. Because one of the real frustrating things on LinkedIn is people will listen to it, and I bet a lot of the stuff that Felipe has mentioned today you've heard before, and you've thought, yeah, I should do that. Make a mental note. In fact, get a pen and paper and make a physical note, and go and take action. If you weren't able to take notes fast enough, the beauty of this is now a replay, and Felipe went to the effort of actually doing a screen share and giving you those bullet points. Go back and make sure that you take action on those bullet points. It's one of the most frustrating things I see on LinkedIn on a regular basis is people, when I reach out to them, I'm like, hey, I can see that you're trying to, get a new job, or you just started a new business. Just a couple of tips. That photograph. Firstly, I can't see, I can't make out who it is, or there's no banner, or your profile isn't up to date. I spoke to somebody a couple of days ago who they're pretty active on LinkedIn. In their activity section, but if you look at their profile, it looks like they haven't been working in something like 11 years because their experience section isn't up to date and doesn't show the incredible things that they are currently doing. Their photograph is not available to be seen. So things like settings, make sure that your photo is set to at least your first connections. Depending on the industry that you're in, everybody is slightly different and what your requirements are. But if it's okay for prospective employers to be able to see your profile picture, make sure that you've got that on the settings as public, because and I don't know if a lot of you know this, but if you go to edit my profile, just go and look at your profile, top right hand side, there'll be two little pencils on the right hand side, and I'm wondering maybe I should share. Give me a second. I think I will find this on my profile if my internet is fast enough over here, and we'll show you exactly where to go. But with those two little pencils, it gives you the option to go and update your. It's asking me to wait for LinkedIn. There we go. There we go. LinkedIn is ultra slow today. Here we go. And it is giving me an option to share. There we go. Dun, 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 dun.
I wanted to share my screen earlier, Mac, but I was afraid it was going to take too long to figure it out. So I'm glad you're.
I finally got there. So I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can add that to the main screen.
But it just went away. Where'd it go?
It's I think backstage. Have we got it there?
Can you all hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear banging, a bit of a beat going. It's all good. So while we wait for that, in the top right-hand side, you'll be able to see there are two little pencils on the top right-hand side of your profile. And the first one will say profile language. So you can go and edit your profile language there. Are you back, Felipe?
Yeah, go ahead and share it again, Mac, because it gave me the option, but I didn't catch it. It went away from my screen.
Okay, here we go. There we go.
Okay, let's see. Where is it? Come on.
Dun, 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 dun.
There you go. All right. Got it.
Awesome stuff. Okay. So LinkedIn is painful as hell, but if you look on the top right-hand side, you'll see where my cursor is moving now. There's profile language, and then there's public profile URL. So if you click on that pencil that says public profile, this is where you get to see what other people see on your profile. And the frustrating thing is most people never even get to look at this. I was recently chatting to somebody at a networking event, and they were like, yeah, LinkedIn, it's a bit painful. I don't really use it. It's kind of pointless. Nobody, connects with me on there. And I went, well, hold on. And I said, well, let's connect. And I went onto LinkedIn. And I was like, well, I can't find you. And when it came to photographs, I couldn't see who he was. But you've got all this stuff. And I don't know if you can see it on my share this tab instead. Maybe. There we go. It gives you a public view of what your profile looks like to others. So on the right-hand side, you've got the option to edit your URL. But the most important bit is if you go to the right and you see what is ticked over here with regards to your profile, you can have your profile public visibility, and you can either have that on or off. Now, if it's off, the reality is only those people that are first connections. You can then go and choose whether the first degree connections, your network, or all of LinkedIn members, or public. Now, you may not want your information public as an example, but you can still have it to your network or your first degree, so that people, when they search you and they connect, they can at least have a look at the information that you then share. And you can choose with all these toggles what information you're going to share, so that those people can see whether you are relevant or not to the search that they are going through at the moment. So it's really important that you have a look at these things and make sure that the relevant information is possible for people to find. And that's one of the most frustrating things that I find on LinkedIn, is that individuals don't realize that they are not searchable, or they if they've got a name like John Smith, which is common, that other people can't find them because there are 1,000 John Smiths on LinkedIn. So make yourself visible. So I know I've gone into some real basics there, but just the settings is the kind of number one thing that I'm seeing people make a massive error on. And then the second thing is, with your job information, as Felipe was saying, talk about those key things, the things that you have achieved, and make sure that that's available from a search perspective, both in your about section as well as under your experience section with your most recent role. I'm going to stop there for now, Felipe, and just get people to drop their questions into the comments, as well as go to other wonderful co-hosts and see what they would like to add. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is that something you see as often as I do, Felipe?
No, absolutely. I think that's something that's huge, because you're right. Certain companies do want some privacy settings, but the reality is, if you're a job seeker, your obligations kind of go away there to that company. But if you're still working for the company, you want to be careful, because you don't want to burn any bridges before you leave. Like I always say, try to find a job before you leave your current one, because they'll replace you, but there's no one to replace your income until you get that.
Yeah.
And Mac, just as we're going through all the things, and maybe we can share profiles again later on, because, some of the key areas that we mentioned by keywords, we mentioned the headline, we mentioned the about section, we mentioned the experience section, but the skills section is another area that we didn't mention yet.
Oh, we got to get into that. I think let's do that right now, Felipe, because I was chatting to somebody this week, and when you speak to somebody, you assume they kind of know the same stuff as you do in some way, because it seems logical. I've been doing LinkedIn for a long time. So for me, the logical triggers, you forget that unless you watch somebody and see how they enter it, and then you realize, like, oh my goodness, the mistakes they're making, they don't even know that they're making them. So please head into that, because I'm sure you're going to cover two or three things that I know.
It reminds me, think of this. If you're new to LinkedIn, it's like being new to cooking. If you've never cooked before, you're going to need to learn how long to heat up the butter before it burns, and how long to do mixing certain things before it gets bad. Same thing with LinkedIn. We're just teaching you just the recipe. All right. The skills section is towards the bottom. It's right before the last section, which is recommendations. And that skills section used to be 50 skills that you had to choose from. They've increased it to 100. And here's why. There are keywords that can mean the same thing. And so just because you say that you are very knowledgeable about spreadsheets, well, if you didn't put down that your skill was Excel, people might have been looking for Excel, not spreadsheets. That's a simple example, but so you want to have both those skills under your skills, because That way, regardless of which keyword they're searching for, you come up. But you have 100 to choose from. Maximize it. Put in keywords. I mean, honestly, if it's something that you don't do anymore and that you don't want to be searched for, fine, take it out. But if it's a skill that you still have that somebody might find relevant somehow, keep it in there because it's only going to help you be more searchable. And the reality is, the more those keywords are repeated through your profile, the more likely you are to come up for recruiters, employers, or entrepreneurs that are just looking for business partners or new employees. So I'll stop there because I know that there's more that you can probably share, Mac, and I also want to hear from Martha and Mark. I'm going to put the link to the restream in the chat for anyone in the audience that wants to join us, and make sure that you go ahead and let us know if you have any questions in the chat as well. Mac, back to you.
Felipe, there are a few things that I just wanted to tap into there. The one thing being on the skills section, one of the most common mistakes I see people do on the skills section is put in words that are kind of like industry words that are, they kind of specific to a organization or a company or a specific channel. But LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is what it is, hasn't perhaps updated those search terms into their a system as such, and it hasn't been indexed as it's required in order to be able to find things when it comes through search. And even though it's got AI abilities where it and asks you if you want to use AI to post, from a search perspective, it's still not up to date with regards to incorporating AI to look across your whole profile and to interpret what you mean versus what you're saying. So as an example, if you go in and you type in Excel, as Felipe was talking about now, as a skill, you may think there, well, I'm an Excel wizard. So you put skills Excel wizard. Guess what? Because you put in wizard, now all of a sudden you're non-searchable. You think you look amazing. The term looks amazing on your profile, but nobody can find you because you didn't use a skill that actually was in the list of available skills on LinkedIn. So really important. It's just such a simple thing, but I didn't even know that because I would, up until about 4 or 5 years ago, I had skills that I'd created to make myself sound good, as opposed to skills that actually LinkedIn used to help people find me. And literally by changing that little bit, just go through every single one of it, do a bit of housekeeping, go through all your skills, click the edit button, and just start removing a few letters and make sure that that skill comes up and is recommended by LinkedIn. If it's not, do not go and put in anything else. Use something that is recommended on the list. I know it sounds simple, but I was an Excel wizard for a long time, but nobody knew about it.
No, that's a huge point, and you made me think of another thing: emojis, or if you have any kind of symbol next to the word, it makes it unsearchable. So if you don't have a space between the emoji or that symbol and the word, that word now is not searchable. So, and also special fonts. For those of you that like to use the Instagram fonts, those Instagram fonts are not searchable. So keep that in mind. And they're also not readable by screen readers for those that have vision impairments. So keep that in mind as well. So great insights, Mac. Joel, any insights you'd like to share?
Apart from learn from the chat below me, or the only one with the beard on here, that is the only because I've been part of his student, and I also joined his journey for 3 years now. I'm still learning, but
so you're his Padawan. You're his Padawan, basically, is what you're saying.
I've learned a lot. Yes.
And I just realized the beard's back, Mac. I just realized that. I don't know. It just hit me. You're on mute, Mac.
You're on mute, sir.
That was very, very, very
Use
expressive. The way you were
use it.
yourself, but-
Yeah. It's just lightly back. It's not standing out here where it's like down to past my my pecs or moob. So
All right. Well, Martha, how about you? Martha, you've had an amazing journey on LinkedIn, and you've definitely done a lot. What insights do you have for people that are out there?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't know LinkedIn was a thing. I was on Facebook and Instagram and not super into meeting people online. So coming into LinkedIn, it definitely taught me a lot when it comes to communication and meeting people and also understanding. I think asking questions, right? Asking for help because I didn't know what the rules were like. There's a lot of things that I'm still learning as we speak. I'm still a work in progress with my LinkedIn profile. But what I have noticed with my work is, like you said, I think, Felipe, you shared, being ready for an interview at any time. Even in our industries, we need to be ready to speak about what we're passionate about or what we're doing, right? I just recently had a conversation with someone that made donation for the women. And we just met, not on LinkedIn, it was a different platform, but LinkedIn was able to open. I always share LinkedIn because LinkedIn taught me the importance of being open, having those conversations, yes, in the comments, right? Attending the events. We had audio events. Now we're having live stream events. So being open and of course, if you are sharing your LinkedIn profile, that's another thing, making sure that your picture matches you, so don't share a picture from 20 years ago, because you never know who you're going to bump into when you're out and about. So that's a little bit about me, but I also wanted to share something else that I've learned, Felipe. I recently attended a corporate meeting, and in that meeting, I noticed that Outlook is connected to LinkedIn. So you can actually see other folks' profiles if they've connected it to their Outlook. And I thought that was so cool. So I wanted to just share that for anyone who may need connections or, like if you're job searching and you want to connect with someone in a different department or different organization, check out your Outlook. You may see that they may have a LinkedIn profile and you can connect with them that way outside of work. Thank you.
I'm looking at my Outlook right now, and I remember seeing something about LinkedIn on there. And I'm so glad you shared that, Martha, because that's a nice little tip. Another thing that is also a nice tip is when you're applying for jobs, there is many applications out there that will say upload your resume and include your LinkedIn profile. Always include your LinkedIn profile, you all. Make it easier for that recruiter, because if they have to search for your name and you have a common name and there are 15 Martha Smiths that pop up, you gotta start questioning which one is it. It just takes a little bit extra time and effort. And when recruiters have a lot of applications to go through, the easier you make it for them, the better. So that's a nice tip there, Martha. Maybe put something in the chat about where to find that.
Yeah. So typically it's in the Outlook. Like if you're in a meeting, they'll have a little LinkedIn icon for you to click on the LinkedIn icon. It's really cool. I was like, wow. And I also wanted to share another thing regarding like reviews, right? And like letter of recommendations. Now, I know we have them listed here on LinkedIn, but I would also recommend getting that paper, like having that document to also present with your resumes. Because I found that in my work industry, even with when I did my volunteer work, me having those references and then being able to obviously call and verify. That's the importance too, but also be seeing it on your profile. It speaks volumes to you because, that trust factor comes into place, specifically with whatever industry you may work. Like I work with privacy, when it comes to data. So I have to be very cautious, on how I represent myself, including my background. So leaving in good terms is always important. Just wanted to share that. Thank you, Felipe.
That's an excellent point, and those recommendations are huge. And I'm glad you brought up the paper recommendations or the hard copy recommendations, because that's something that a lot of employers do look for still, and they still value that sometimes more than the LinkedIn recommendation. But the other thing is that if you do have that hard copy recommendation and the LinkedIn recommendation, like Martha says, it just validated it and they doubled down on it. So that just is something that's so helpful, and it's always good to have because a lot of people will ask for that. And sometimes that employer you worked for may have gone out of business, or God forbid, they may have passed away. And you're not going to be able to ask them for a recommendation at that point. So getting that early on from them is very valuable. But having them on your profile, again, LinkedIn is working for you when you're not even on the platform, y'all. People are looking at your profile when you're sleeping. So think about that. So, Lark, it's so wonderful to see you. Please, I know you have some amazing insight. Share, please, the mic is yours. Oh, wait, you're on mute. Wait, go ahead. No, still can't hear you. Hold on, that's weird. Can you all hear?
No, I think sunshine impacts the microphone.
The salt water and the sunshine, yeah, I agree. You probably have too much salt water in your microphone. That must be it. Try leaving and coming back, maybe, Lark. I don't know. While Lark is doing that, let me remind everybody, if you're watching us, we have 33 people watching us. Thank you for all of you being here. It's so great to see Melissa Houston, my partner in crime and little sister. Meryl, always appreciate all your comments. And I love what you said, don't be a ghost, make yourself visible. Eric, thank you for joining us. Samuel, great to see you there. Lowe's, I totally agree about your comment, not only optimizing your profile, but practice your communication skills. Absolutely. And then we have Miriam and we have Gregory. Great to see you, Gregory, as well. And what did you say here? Yeah, the URL address. Yeah, it is on you to personalize that. And I'm glad that Mac mentioned that, because a lot of times, if you have if your name and URL are just a bunch of numbers and letters, it's so much harder to remember that person. But when you customize it with your name, it stands out. It's more visible. It's easier to click on. So make sure that you customize it. It takes 10 seconds, y'all. All right, and let's see if Lark's not back yet. But also, if you're not following us on our LinkedIn homepage, do me a favor. Go to our LinkedIn homepage, give us a follow, click on the bell so you get notified of these Saturday events. But not only that, all the events the other hosts do. These co-hosts do amazing events throughout the weeks, and it's worth watching them. Check them out, but you'll get notified if you follow us on our LinkedIn profile. And if you want to see some more past episodes where we have had some amazing speakers, tackled amazing topics, and had amazing networking events, check us out on your favorite podcast channel, whether it's Apple or Spotify. If you like Apple, go ahead and just scan this QR code here, and you can check out our Apple playlist there that we have that Joel has been so kind to record over the year. And check out all those wonderful past ones that we've done where we spotlighted amazing people. If you prefer Spotify, go ahead and click on this QR code. And let me take off that captions here because clearly that is confusing people. But go ahead and scan that QR code so you can go ahead and follow us on Spotify. And as always, if you have topics or you have questions that you want to ask of us, go ahead and come up on stage. Let us know what those topics are, or put them in the chat. We would love to hear from you and know more about what questions you might have. And I'm trying to find our original picture here back. There we go. And oh wait, that's not what I wanted. Let's hide that. I'm sorry. See, I'm still learning how to use all this stuff here. But with that being said, Mac, please share any other ideas or insights you have.
Well, yeah, I've got loads, but we've been going through this as we go through it. It's amazing how when you've got 4 or 5 different people that have experienced slightly different aspects of LinkedIn, like Martha, where people are basically having to rebrand themselves, or some people that aren't even socially aware about the from a technology perspective on how this platform even works, the real basics. So it's so important to understand each person's aspects, because I think as a whole, if you add that all together, you've got one heck of a artillery as such to be able to really make your profile stand out and be effective here on LinkedIn. So a couple of other things with regards to, just wanted to get back to skills, is I don't know, some of you may have heard of these things, but back in 2020, 2021, during the whole COVID period, a lot of people were having what we call, we labeled as endorsement parties. And the worst thing that I could recommend, because ultimately what people were doing is just, getting together, somebody did a post and then everybody would just go and endorse each other. And the problem is you had people endorsing each other that had, other than the moment when they connected, had never had any connection before. So from a credibility perspective, it just totally ruined the whole endorsement process, because it became like, self-written business reviews online, as an example, or on your own website. But one of the things LinkedIn have done, for those of you who haven't noticed this, if you haven't updated your skills in the last, I would say 12 to 24 months, especially if you've been in the same job for the last 2 or 3 years and now you're looking at changing, is when you go to your skills section, there's 2 things that are important. One, as Felipe had already mentioned, the fact that you can go from 50 to 100 skills now, but you can actually connect and link your skill to the relevant job role to show how long you've been using that skill. So as an example, if you've just left university and you've become a brain surgeon, it will show you that, well, you studied it at the university, but you haven't, opened up, cracked somebody's head open and actually done any operations yet. So it will at least show and make sure that you don't get put into a position where you're having to do, major surgery and you've only got theory behind you. But the important thing here is you can go and link every single one of your skills to the job roles where you've applied them, which also increases and improves the credibility, because it shows that you've applied that skill at 2 or 3 different roles, as an example. It's really important to make sure that those skills are up to date, because, as an example, one of the people that I sat with recently, they're in the real estate business. They've been in the real estate business for 6 or 7 years, but on their skills side, it actually shows all their IT stuff and even beauty therapy and stuff that they did like 10 years ago, like totally irrelevant to what they are searching for right now. So really important to go and have a look at those skills, make sure that they're current, that they're relevant, and hit the little pencil next to the skills, and you can actually reorder them and drag them into the order that you want them. And I know Martha is dying to say something here, because I'm watching that finger go.
Well.
So over to you.
Yeah. So, when I was doing my job search, I was getting contacted like on my personal phone via LinkedIn recruiters, but which was great, but I also, was getting emails, text messages from people that I weren't even on LinkedIn, which really cautioned me to not even reply back because, I'm reading in the comments, the scams as well. So I don't know if you all could touch a little bit base on that. I've had my own personal experience, and I've, even recently someone contacted me that I don't even know, but they're a LinkedIn connection, and I don't know how they got my personal phone number. But yeah, so if we could talk a little bit about that, like
Yeah,
you
glad you
know,
brought that, Martha, because that's a
Thank you.
huge. First and foremost, on your LinkedIn profile in your settings, and maybe Mac, you can pull up maybe my profile and show how we can do that. But you have the option of adding your email, your phone number, all this information. Do not add your personal phone number or email if you don't want people using it. If you have a company email, that's a great place to put it. If you have a company phone number or business line, great place to put it. But if you put that personal information in there, it's going to be visible to your LinkedIn community. Now, as far as scams, here's the thing that you have to watch out for. If you connect with somebody on LinkedIn connects with you, or is reached out to you on your phone or email and is on LinkedIn, and they have like one connection or like 10 connections, red flag. If you get a text that has misspellings, red flag. If you get a text that says, "Oh, I'm working with this, like say Monster or whatever, and I can get you a job," and blah blah blah, sometimes those could be legit. But here's the key: my son had an example where he actually got a phone call and he was all excited. He's like, "Papi, I got a phone call. I got a text. They say it'd be like $500 a week and it'd be part time and this and that." I'm like, "All right, well, I have to talk to them and learn more about it." Well, they only want to talk via text. So, okay, that's a red flag, buddy. Like, they said they'll send me $2,000 ahead of time. I just need to deposit it, and then I just need to buy stuff for them, and then that's all I gotta do is basically an errand boy for them. It's really easy. I'm like, stop. No. They want to send you money before they even talk to you. They won't talk to you on phone or video. These are red flags. As soon as he said, "Can we have a conversation on the phone or on video?" the response was, "What, you don't trust us? Fine, forget it. We don't want you anymore." And they disconnected. So challenge people. Don't be so desperate that you'll take anything, because people are relying on that. They're relying on people that are desperate, and it's unfortunate because people are in desperate times right now. But make sure that you reach out to me, DM me and say, "Hey, I had someone reach out to me. Do you think this is a scam?" I'll happily give you my insight, because I'd rather have you double check with somebody and make sure that you're not being scammed than have someone get access to your money, to your bank account, and just screw you. And I hate to say it like that, but that's what's going to happen. So, Martha, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is a huge thing there.
Yeah, I just have one last thing. So sorry, real quick. I also notice with these profiles of the recruiters, when I go in their profiles or just in general when people connect, and I'll see that they're connected with certain organizations, and all their posts, they don't share anything. They're just reposting other people's shares. So that to me is like a red flag as well.
It could be a red flag, but that also could be a standalone recruiter that has their own business that works for multiple companies, and they're just trying to recruit for multiple companies, so they reshare their posts. That could be what they're doing sometimes. The way that you look at it is, are they connected to that company page somehow? Are they working with that company? Is there a way that you can validate that they have an association with them other than just resharing their posts?
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in there on what you were saying, Felipe, with the flag as an example with your son, because Martha, this happens to so many people where people are very generic, but the important thing, as Felipe was saying about that, question people. The moment, and if we look at some of the major cybersecurity frauds online right now, when you watch them on telly as an example, most of us, when we're watching this, our logic is sitting there going, red flag, like, why are you doing these things? Why are people such idiots? But actually, the reality is, when you're in that desperate frame of mind, you will do anything, and you will, it's like what they call that puppy love blindness, when people get caught out in these dating scams. because of the fact that they are so desperate to be, seen, to be acknowledged, to be loved, that, when they say things, they know this sounds ridiculous, but they will justify it. And when it comes to information that goes out via text message or WhatsApp, over the last few years received loads that have said, "We've seen your LinkedIn profile, very interested in speaking. Thanks, John." And it's so generic. There's no company name, there's no website address, or if there is a link, it's a dodgy link that you can't really tell where it's going. So never click on just any link, because that can give people access to your devices. That's really, really important. And people that are just reposting things, as you were saying, and Felipe mentioned, go and check for some form of evidence that they, just question things. Don't take things on face value, because there are a lot of profiles that even have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 followers, but they are not, and they connected to a lot of your, because once they connected to you, the next person who sees them as a connection request sees that they connected to you, and therefore they must be a real connection. So a lot of people will accept connections based on who they are connected to. So really be careful of, just clicking accept for the sake of it. When it comes to, and Felipe, I know you asked me to share my screen. I just realized probably not wise, because when I do the sign-in security side of things, it shows my personal information. So I'm not going to be, so I won't be adding that. But the main thing is on settings, just go on your profile where it goes me, and you do the little drop down, go to settings, and then it will ask you account preferences, and then sign in and security. And under sign in and security, just go and validate your information. Make sure it's all relevant and up to date. I find a lot of people still have the original password that they've been using since they signed in 2003 or 2007, or an email address that was a Hotmail or an AOL address that they don't even realize if for some reason they get locked out, they're not going to get back into their LinkedIn account. So make sure that
that's name and number one is not going to work anymore, y'all.
Yeah. And that's such a big thing when it comes to job roles and recruitment. This is one of the most common things that we see, people forgetting that when they signed on to LinkedIn, they had a cool email address that they, chose from Gmail like 10, 15 years ago, like Sexy Lucy or Sexy Mac, or, something like really cool that they thought was cool back then. But now they're applying for this role.
Real email he had, y'all. Sexy Mac at
yeah. There we go. And then they're applying for a role, and they don't realize that the email that's going through, or the information that's going through, is providing them with this information of Sexy Mac at AOL. And it's like, and straight away you can have yourself removed from a process just because people think that there's risk associated, or because people judge before they actually make decisions these days. So
that's a good point. I mean, my niece had Goblet of Fire email for a very long time because she was a Harry Potter fan, and when she was 24, I said, I think it's time to change it. But Lark, we have you back. Want to see if you have audio, because we want to get your insights before we get to Christine. And for those listening, well, I'll remind you, the link to join us on stage is in the chat. Please feel free to join us on stage. We'd love to have you. But with that, Lark, over to you.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. That's awesome stuff. All right. I literally had to move all around to get a good spot. So now that I'm on this end, wherein I'm looking for support, I'm looking for different services, I am going on to LinkedIn, and I'm looking for specifically graphic designers and things like that. And what I have found is that it's not always easy to get samples of people's work. And so this is for anyone who's out there. If it is that you are a service provider and you want people to get a taste of what it is you can do for them, how can you serve them, how can you make their businesses shine a little brighter, then make it easy for them to get a feel for you. I know oftentimes we design things so that we can get onto that call and actually have a person. But if you're me, you have a lot of things to do in a very short period of time. And I don't always have the time to meet every single person. And I can just scroll through some of what you think of as your best work, or what you would really, really want me to see. And I can tell whether I think we're going to vibe or not. And so that's the one little bit I wanted to add here for the purposes of this conversation. If you are a service provider of some kind, and there is a way to showcase your talent or your work, then make it easy for someone who's seeking for that to be able to get a flavor, to get a feel for you. So that's one thing I just wanted to share. And the other thing, I think we're doing a lot better these days as opposed to when I first started on LinkedIn. And Mac, you talk about 2003. Are you kidding me? I think I started this back in like 96 or 97 or something. So we are allowed now to share a little bit more of ourselves. And so I think that we're not going to go crazy with every hobby that we have, but if there are some things that are unique or special about us, I think, these days it's okay to give a little insight into things that you may enjoy doing too. So with that, I yield the mic. Thank you for the time. I'm glad I was able to get audio.
Well, thank you, Laurie. And that was brilliant insight you shared. And here's why, because as a recruiter, when I'm looking at people's LinkedIn profiles, okay, there's certain, you mentioned samples of your work, all right? You think, oh, someone for accounting or finance. Oh, it's hard for them to show samples of their work, or someone in HR. That's not true, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But there are the obvious people, graphic designers, marketing people, communications people. I expect you to show samples of your work on a social media platform. That's an opportunity for you to showcase the talent and the skills that you have, so that when I'm looking for someone that has those skills, not only do I read that you have it, but you've been able to showcase it in your content. So I don't expect everyone to be content creators, but if you're in the field that works for social media, yeah, I would expect it. Just like I would expect a salesperson to negotiate their salary. If you're going to negotiate contracts, how are you going to do that if you can't even negotiate for yourself? Now, with that being said, HR, accounting, political science, things that are not as tangible to show, do what we're doing right here. Get on there and share your insight, share your knowledge. Say, hey, did you know that you can do this for your taxes, or that you can balance your budget at home using this spreadsheet? Or did you know that you can find a job using LinkedIn and these tips? This is how I share my knowledge, so that I can be, if someone looks for me as a potential employee, they have a lot of content. They can look at my page. They can see how I speak. They can see how I write. They can see what I shared, how the skills I have, and if I'm knowledgeable about it when I speak about it. And those are ways that you can stand out. And I can't stress that there's only 1% of the billion people on this platform that are doing that. 1%. So imagine if you were part of that 1%, tell me you wouldn't stand out. With that, I'll also share one more thing. The personal things that you mentioned, Mark. I want to be careful to say that people are going to have some biases based on your personal interests, but I mean it in a positive way. And I don't want it to seem like, oh, we use that as recruiters as reasons to hire somebody. No, but as a human being, if I see Mac's resume and it says that he worked for the Washington Commanders as a marketing specialist, and I'm looking for a marketing specialist, guess what? Marketing specialist, great. But the Washington Commanders resonated with me personally because that's my team. And there's just something, whether I like it or not unconsciously, it resonated with me. It connected me with that resume. And I'm going to look at that deeper now. It's not good or bad. It's just reality. So I want people to realize that sharing, when you share that you did something fun with your family, that you did some team building with your team, that you went to a sporting event, this can demonstrate not only similar interests, but it can also show, hey, you are social, you like to network, you like team-oriented events. These are things that can translate into the workplace. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to seeing what this chat is in the back here, because Mac is like laughing and giggling so much right now. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Mac.
I tell you what, I'm trying to stay straight faced and focused to what everybody is saying over here, but then we have people like Kenneth, who's very flowery language in the comments, and I'm just absolutely rolling in tears here. So I'm really sorry, but Kenneth, I'm gonna have to stay on mute half the time just to read your comments while we're live. So apologies for causing disturbances, but great to see so many of you join us.
Kenneth made Mac blush. Look at that. I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen Mac blush and turn so red. And Mac's pretty pale. So when he gets color, you can really tell.
Oh no! Goodness me. Hey, should we do a bit of a reset quickly? Because we've only got 20 minutes left. And so much to cover. And if anybody still wants to come up and join us on stage, then obviously they're entitled to do that and
we had
spark
Christine
things up.
Christina, and then she had audio issues. I'm going to put the link in the chat again so that it's fresh in the chat. You don't need to scroll up. But Christine, if you're still here, please join us still. We'd love to see you because we knew you had a question to ask. And we do have Brian, though. Brian is here. So, Brian, thank you for joining us here. What question or insights do you have, my friend?
Well, I have neither at the moment. I literally just got to this space. This is kind of like a tough time of day for me to come on because it's like right smack dab in the middle of the day, and my Saturday mornings usually start off slow anyway. So I really don't have an idea of what is being talked about here. I did get the message from Merrill for this, and I think part of the reason I felt called upon this was because of a comment on my post that Martha left me the other day. So I kind of felt like I needed to come back and show my face here. But I'm happy to contribute on whatever it is that you guys are talking about.
Well, and Brian, and first of all, Michelle, we are going to get to your question. I just want to let you know that. But Brian, do me a favor. Can you just share? You do so much on LinkedIn, and you talk about the job that you're at. How has LinkedIn impacted you positively at work?
How has LinkedIn impacted me positively?
How has what you've done on LinkedIn, just going out there and putting yourself out there, being an advocate, how has that impacted your work at all?
Well, it did help lead to me getting promoted at work. It helped me get the marketing position that I have for the agency I work for. So it's helped in that sense because my director does take notice of things that I post on here. So that has been a positive that has come from this. So that's what I have to say.
Well, that's awesome. I love that they've noticed that. And I think that's just an example. And I wanted Brian to share that because if you're not following Brian, he is out there first, he's being very vulnerable and putting himself out there, but he's doing it with fun, sharing insights. And he's been an amazing advocate for people with autism. And so the fact that your employer sees the value of what you're doing, that your director sees the value of that's a prime example of Brian standing out. And so whether you're trying to stand out in your current employer or for a new employer, you got to take action. You got to put in the work. Now, Michelle had a great question. Michelle McCabe. She said some people recommend sending notes with connection requests, but the free version only allows 5 per month, which is a bunch of BS. I hate when they change that. I wish they had not changed that because that is contradictory to trying to build meaningful connections. I'll get off that soapbox. So she is, I have LinkedIn Premium. Do you recommend getting LinkedIn Premium or are notes with connection requests not that important these days? So that question, what I'll say is this: there is value to LinkedIn Premium if you're using it for business purposes. Recruit for job seeking, I used to say not that much, but for those notes, those personalized notes make a difference. I won't lie. When I go through my connection requests, the first ones I look at are the ones with personalized notes. And so it's something that, please understand that it's not something that I'm saying that you need to, but if you do have it and you can keep it, I'd say keep it for right now if you're job seeking until you get that job, then you can cancel it, because I think it does add value, especially when you're trying to connect with recruiters or employers or people that work at a company. Brian, we have people that want to join the room, so I'm going to put you back into the green room here real quick.
Thank you, Brian, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
See you soon.
All right, and so, who else? Who are we missing here? Somebody dropped off. I thought we had somebody else. All right. So if you do want to join, we do have about 15 minutes left. So please feel free to join us on stage. And why does it keep on saying? I keep on saying guest is trying to join, but the room is full. No, it's not. All right. Well, anyways, I do think that there was some great questions here asked from everyone. I do want to encourage people to keep on putting questions in the chats. I think there was another question. And Kenny, please don't ever stop changing who you are, because you just, the humor that you add to our lives is just, it's very, very needed. So keep on savoring the flavor, my friend, please. And Adrian, thank you for your sympathy about the Commanders. Yes, but you know what? They had a great year, and next year is another year. Can he stop mentioning his fingers? All right, Christine, the room is not full now, so if you try again, Christine, you can join.
She may need to refresh.
Yeah, you may need to refresh. But if any of you want to join us, here's your last chance. If you have any other questions you want to put in the chat, please put them in the chat. I apologize if I missed it. If you did put a question early on and I missed it, put it down again just so I can catch it now. But Lark, Joel, Martha, Mac, any areas that we didn't cover or anything else you wanted to add for people out there trying to stand out on LinkedIn during these uncertain times?
I just want to just a side note on what Michelle was saying with regards to the limitation of the 5 notes. So again, it all depends on what your current strategy is. If you're currently employed, don't like your job and are currently looking for a new role, then I will share a strategy that is probably not for you. But that's where premium is definitely worthwhile, because you can then DM or add more notes to your connection requests, and you can then do that more in a stealth mode, because you obviously don't want your current employer to know that you're looking elsewhere at that time. But if you're in a position where either your employer knows you're looking because it's a redundancy or something like that, or the company is shutting down, or there's a change coming, or you are currently looking for work and out of work, then one of the other strategies that works really, really well is when you are wanting to connect with people and you're on the free version, one of the things you can do is go to their profile, look at their activity, go and comment on something that they've engaged in. So a lot of people with senior executives may not post, but they might engage on other people's content. And you can very easily hit the reply to their comment and go, like your comment, by the way, check my DM. Now, the only way they can check your DM is if they accept your connection request. So you're assuming that they're just going to hit the accept button, and they will look for it, because unfortunately, a lot of people get a lot of connection requests, especially in certain roles, and they just ignore them. This way, you're going to put yourself on the, on that person's radar. So they're going to look for your connection request. And that way you can start the conversation much easier once you are connected. So don't worry about just hitting a comment on every single connection request, but find other ways to do it. Another way of doing it, which works really well, is be the person that shows up on the target companies you want to work at. Because guess what? If you look at company pages, about 70 to 80% of people that engage with company pages tend to be people that work at the company, or they're already a partner or somebody that works with that company in some shape or form. So if you want to get on the radar of those people that are watching it, senior executives tend to watch their company page. Go and comment. Eventually, somebody's going to respond to your comment, and you'll stand out of the crowd rather than trying to go to each one of those individuals directly. When they respond to your comment, hit that connection request as quickly as possible. So I'm going to leave it at that and pass back to you, Felipe.
So real quick, Nick, the gifted bipolar writer, had a great question that Martha shared. It was about people who are so open and very, very transparent about who they are, whether it's, in Nick's case, she's very transparent about being bipolar and sharing her insights to help others out there. Can that turn employers and recruiters off when you're job seeking? I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm sure some people might get turned off by it. But what I would say is don't stop being who you are, but just make sure that you're not coming across in a negative perception, meaning that you're not being aggressive about it, that you're attacking people, but you're truly trying to help. If you show that your intent is in the right place, and also that it is not your end all say all in everything who you are, that it is a part of you, but if everything that you do is tied around that one thing, the employer might think you don't have time for us if that's your priority. So you want to make sure that it's a part of you and don't hide it. With that being said, Gregory, we have a few minutes left for Gregory, and then I think Christine could try to join us as well. We have 6 maximum per stage, you all. That's why. So Gregory, over to you, my friend. Please share your question or your insights. The mic is yours. Oh. All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, this is Gregory calling from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Felipe, our hockey teams are playing each other in less than 5.5 hours from now. Jets and the Capitals. So the battle for first is on, basically. So
rock the red.
Go Jets, go.
Very nice.
So you kind of stole my thunder in terms of standing up for people who are disabled. So you probably answered that question. But here's another one. In terms of content, when is the best time to produce and get content out onto the social media platform? Because I hear a lot of people say X day at Y time, X day at Z time, all that type of stuff. So when is the best time? Because I'm basically processing as I speak here a beautiful open to work type of a post, what roles I want and which companies I want to work for here in the city here. So I'm just processing it out for a person within my network to be a spotlight feature on her network per se. So so I would love to know when is I will say correspond the best time to post stuff and everything that nature. So
that's a great question, Gregory, and I'm going to give you the attorney answer that you always get from attorneys. It depends, but the reality is this: you want to post when your network is going to see it. Meaning that if you're trying to get, let's say you're in the East Coast, and you're trying to get a job in the West Coast in California, posting at 9 a.m. in the East Coast is not the best time because they're not up yet. So you want to make sure that you're tailoring it to the audience. If you look at the demographics of your LinkedIn audience, and most of them are in your area, you know that their time of day is the same as your time of day. You can look at opportunities of doing it first thing in the morning, because there are people that are going to do things first thing in the morning, and then lunchtime is always a good thing. I personally don't think the end of the day is always the best. For me, it's hit or miss. But it really is something that you want to think about. When are these recruiters or when are the people that you want to see your posts most likely going to be on LinkedIn, and in what time zone are they in? And if you take those things, that's a strategy that can help you get a little bit better. But there's no perfect formula to hit the nail on the head every time. But there are things you can do to make sure that you're a little more visible. Another thing also is this. If you get anyone that comments on your post, engage, respond, don't leave it blank, because that engagement is going to spark the algorithm to keep that post alive. But if there's no engagement, no responses to anybody who's commented, that post is slowly going to die off because it thinks that nobody's engaging with it. So stay engaged, and really try to focus on the time of day that your audience is awake and most likely to see the post. I hope that helps. Mac, did you have any insight you want to share? Or anybody else? I'm sorry.
Well, I'll be quick, I hope. So there are a few things. I mean, one of the things that the attorney answer that you gave there, it depends, is you've got to think about the logical things as well. Is ask yourself, when I post this, it's the simple things. Are the individuals that I want to see it? Are they online right now? Otherwise, schedule it for the time that they are. Are the people that I want to see this post going to, am I working at the moment? Are my current employers going to see me post that out right now? Does it look like, I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm actually on LinkedIn? It becomes a bit of a messy thing. But one of those, that's why you have people like Felipe that you can reach out to, who can give you advice on these things, especially if you are in a more sensitive situation or scenario. Because I always suggest, get advice. If in doubt, don't. But one of the other things that
employer your current job because you're on LinkedIn, that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, unless you're promoting your current employer, then different story. But one of the things that Felipe has mentioned so many times over the years that I've known him now is that one thing that people forget is, if you're looking for a job right now, a lot of the times you may have forgotten about all those recruiters that you're connected to that reached out in the beginning, when you weren't looking. And we forget about those people in our network. And, now all of a sudden we're struggling, we're looking for a job, but we actually don't realize that the answers are sometimes a lot closer than we realize. And this is why, Felipe, you always mention about the fact that stay connected to your previous recruiters, because you just don't know where that conversation is going to go or what they might have. And a lot of the times recruiters have something that's not even been posted about yet, and you might be a perfect fit. And, it's little things like that. So make sure that when you can, go onto your profile. If you hit the search button and you just hit enter and you put the word recruiter in there and have a look at people. So do the filter to people and then first connections. You'll be shocked how many of them are first connections. So as an example, Gregory, when you post, if you're able to, there's two things you can do. One, you can go into the comments and tag all the first level recruiters that you are connected to and say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. FY, let me know what your thoughts are or any connections that you may have. Now you're on their radar. Now, if you're not trying to do that publicly, guess what? You can send a DM to each one of them and say, hey, I've just done this post talking about my skills and the things that I'm good at. Do you know anybody that might be looking for somebody like me?
And if you tag them in the comments, not in the body of the post, so they don't get inundated
correct
with all the things for the post. And also to your
recruiters hate that
communication in the chat. When you go back and look at previous recruiters that reached out to you in the past, and you had maybe some DMs, when you reach out to them as a recruiter, when I see someone reach out to me that I had a previous conversation with, I am more likely to engage in that conversation than someone reaching out to me blindly for the first time. So there's value to that previous one. I think it's Christina who's been patiently waiting to try to get on stage. So Gregory, thank you for that great question. I'm going
to say one more thing. Happy Black History Month to all the brothers and sisters and the people who support the brothers and sisters of all things Afro Caribbean and black situational stuff. So
thank you, Gregory. Appreciate that. All right, I'm going to carefully move you into the green room here. And then, Christine, if you're still listening and you're able to join us, now is the time to join us. Try coming up now if you can. Or if there's anybody else that wants to jump in for one last question or insight, here's your chance. Kenny, if you come up, just keep it PG. That's all I ask. If you can. If you don't, if you want non-PG, give me a call later on, okay? Or share it in a text.
I'm so glad I just realized I've got my mic on and not on mute, because I was going to respond to some of these comments and just say a couple of words of what he's mentioned, but that's probably not
Well,
wise.
listen, Lark, Martha, Joel, any last thoughts around this topic that we've been so engaged with the last time?
Yeah, my last thoughts are just really just be yourself. Just be yourself. That's just really it. Just be yourself. You know, who you represent on LinkedIn is who you're going to represent outside. And so just be yourself. That's it. Thank you.
Well, that's like right up with where I was going to leave my last comments, with truly just don't be afraid to be who you are. It's clearly a professional platform, and that primarily is why we're all on here. And if what you have to say and what you stand for filters some people out, that's great. It's not a loss. You're actually just honing in, niching down, and you are inevitably going to be more impactful. Oh, there's a feedback. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yes, if you say something, show up as who you are, be 100% authentic, and you end up filtering out some people, either employer, potential employer, employees, collaborators, then that's great. Who's left are truly your tribe, and the people who are more likely to engage with you and be supportive of you, and whom you could truly go further with. So those were my last comments based on the conversation today and around the subject today. I yield the mic.
Thank you, Lark. Martha and Joel, I hit mute on both your mics. There's some feedback. I don't know who it was coming from, but you need to unmute, or maybe I need to unmute you. I don't know. But Kenny, you're on stage. Please unmic and share your thoughts carefully. And Christine, I'm sorry if Kenny beat you.
Around the subject today. I yield the mic.
Can you hear me?
Martha and Joel, yes, we can hear you. Feedback. I don't know who it was coming from, but you need to unmute, or maybe I need to unmute you. I don't know.
I can't see
Kenny, turn off your LinkedIn. Kenny, turn off your
myself.
LinkedIn.
Oh,
There you go. Now we can hear you. On stage. Please unmic and share your thoughts carefully. And Christine, I'm sorry if Kenny beat you.
Yeah, you got to shut the LinkedIn link down, otherwise you're going to have yourself trying to go through two hemispheres of technology there.
Kenny, only listen to Restream and turn off LinkedIn, or else you're going to have a dual delay.
save the flag.
There you are. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I love your fingers. I'm on today's conversation, as always.
Well, Kenny,
that's all I have to say.
Kenny, I know you do a lot of work in labs and all that, but with all the stuff that you do on LinkedIn, has that ever impacted your career? Has helping you stand out at all?
Incognito.
Which is, again, a fair thing.
They don't know.
Some employers don't want their staff on LinkedIn sharing about the work they do, because sometimes it is confidential and private. So that could be very much the case. Well, Kenny, I'm so glad you made it up here. Thank you for being a wonderful supporter and so complimentary of us. I'll just leave it at that. All right.
You're welcome.
I think we have somebody else that's trying to come up on stage as well. So, and there's by the way, I want to say kudos, shout outs. If you didn't watch the intro video, watch the outro video, because all our dogs that we have, I believe, are showcased in that video, just so you know. So, and I need to unmute some of these people because make sure that you're not muted. All right. Christine, if you were the one trying to come up, here's your last chance. Otherwise, Joel, Martha, Lark, Mac, anything you have coming up in the next week?
I can go first because I'm short. Nothing coming up on LinkedIn this week. I just wish everyone a fantastic rest of the day, weekend, and week. I yield.
Thank you, Martha.
Yeah, I don't have anything coming up this week, but I will be back here next Saturday. I'll put updates as they come up on my LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much, everybody.
Joel?
I don't have anything coming up this week, but I have now finished a video Mac wanted me to do about 4 weeks ago. So
When do we see the video?
Well, if either I share the screen or you download it and then do it through your end, because I can't do it
All right,
here.
well, we can share it later. For next week, we'll see it for sure.
Yeah.
Mac?
So, generally, I'll have a lot to say, but this subject today, this is really your wheelhouse, Felipe, and I've seen you really make a huge difference, and a lot of people, probably don't come out and thank you for the real brutal, solid advice that you give when it comes to the employee side of LinkedIn. I'm great at LinkedIn, and I know what I'm doing. But my wheelhouse isn't helping people find jobs. I've done that in the past, but I'm sure that you've probably got a like a 1-pager or a 2-pager guide for employees for LinkedIn that people can reach out to to try and get a copy of that, or maybe even book some time with you, because one of the things people don't realize when it comes to that employment side of things, a lot of the times we're thinking out of necessity, desperation, all those, the circumstantial stuff. How am I going to pay bills? I'm going to find this new job? Am I going to like the staff? There's all these other questions. But the reality is, once you're in that job, you're probably going to be there for a year or 2 years or 3 years or maybe even longer. So investing a little bit of time to sit with somebody like Felipe, as an example, just to make sure not only you have your profile right, but you actually take maybe a step back and look at the strategy behind what that next role is all about, what you're stepping into, why are you stepping into that, because it can not only make the difference of stepping into a perfect role for you, but a role where you feel empowered because you're getting the acknowledgement and the support that you need, but also the financial reward and all of those things. So, sometimes it sounds like, oh, I don't know if I want to invest in getting a coach or anything. I could sort this out myself. Just ask yourself, over the last 10 years, has everything gone according to the plan that you've wanted? And if it hasn't, go and take a few hours out, invest in some time, sit with somebody like Felipe, who, there's hardly anything that he probably hasn't heard when it comes to the employee discussion side of things. But he can give you both the employee side as well as the internal side of things perspective. And that could make all the difference of you getting a job that is just another job, or you finding a space where you can really thrive and, be what you're meant to be. Life is short. So, go to Felipe's profile, make sure you follow him, go and connect with him, and then book some time with him if he'll allow you.
Well, you're making me blush now, Mac. That was very kind. Thank you for all those kind words. I appreciate that. And I do want to echo one thing, is that when you do these things, like Brian mentioned earlier, his employer saw value in him because of the skill set that he had. When you have a skill set you can showcase in the workplace, and you have a LinkedIn platform to use to showcase that skill set, it can help you in ways that you would never expect. It might give you an opportunity to open doors into a job that might help you stay with the company longer. So keep that in mind. We do have Christine that was able to join us. So Christine, you made it at the last.
Yeah, I know. And now we're out of time. And now I forgot what I was going to say. I just, no. I kind of just love what was just said about, because I never want to make that investment. Right. But, and actually, I think you know my story, Felipe, and I'm on a new team and I have a new manager. It's actually going really well.
Good.
Yes, it's actually I really like it actually. I still want to stay open because right, um but I have to find more balance. I kind of like that there's less LinkedIn stuff, or I'm going on less LinkedIn stuff, right? But I feel like I don't have the time to invest. Like today, I love your shows. I love your insight. I always learn so much. And the good news with the new platform is I could watch the recording because I missed some of it. But I was doing laundry and other things, and that's how I would listen. And I could still go on without a camera, I guess, but I was multitasking when I was doing that, and I have a lot to do today. But I just won't get around to ever putting myself, well, not that I'll make the time, but I think if you have a coach, you have more of a plan, and you're going to have more accountability, and it's going to keep you on track and all that stuff. So that's one thing. And I know you're going to close out in a second. The other thing I was going to say about security, I put something in the chat before. Can it be that somebody can get my email and start emailing me randomly? Now, I don't even know who these people are because it's a random Gmail address, and it's a weird, like it's not anything I could identify them by name. I can't even block them because somebody said to block them. But I better look at my privacy settings. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you want to check your privacy settings and make sure that your personal email that you don't want people to reach out to you on is not listed on your LinkedIn account. Because when people create their LinkedIn account, they just go through the motions of, oh, my email, my phone number, and they don't think, oh, might be public. So removing that is going to help that. And if you don't recognize the emails, put them in spam folder. Eventually, we'll start recognizing that email address is spam, and you won't even see it. And the other thing I'll say is I'm glad that you're taking the break in LinkedIn, focusing on your job. I'm glad it's going well for you. I know it's a long road, but it was well-deserved that you got this opportunity. And just think, if they ever have questions about LinkedIn, you might.
Yeah. It's really been a clean slate, and it's been really, I feel like I'm really making an impact, and I'm totally leveraging the opportunity. I really never expected that it would go in this direction at all. You just don't ever know, right? You just don't know how things will. This is like more of a surprise to me probably than anybody, but knock wood, it's all good lately.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We're so happy that you're in a better place and that you have a good job. We keep coming back, sharing your updates, and let us know how it's going. And so thank you.
All right, I'm glad I made it for the end, and thanks for sticking around.
All right, I'm going to carefully move you into the green room, and then we are going to wrap up. As far as for me, I have the Workplace Wellness Hour on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern with Sumana Jetty and Ashley Fluellen. So join us for that. I'll be posting that probably later on today. And with that being said, make sure that you check us out on our LinkedIn profile and follow us there. Make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast for past episodes, whether you prefer Apple Podcasts or if you prefer Spotify. And as always, if you want to get a recap of Felipe's 5, go back and watch the replay. You can see the Felipe's 5 here that I have listed, and you'll be able to take a screenshot of it or save it. But with that being said, I want to thank all our wonderful co-hosts, and thank you all for another amazing Saturday. I look forward to seeing you all next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. BST. And who is hosting next week's room, Mac?
To be confirmed.
Who?
TBC.
Oh, okay. All right. To be okay.
If you don't know who that is, don't worry. We'll introduce them next week.
I heard Tom Confer. I'm like, who's Tom Confer? Like, who's that person? I've never met them. A new co-host? All right. Well,
it'll be posted shortly.
More motivation for all you all to follow us on our LinkedIn homepage to find out who will be hosting next week. With that being said, thank you all for a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Stay safe, and job seekers, one day at a time, y'all. one day at a time. All right. Thank you all. Take care and adios.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye, guys. Bye from St. Lucia.
Adios.